I wanted to add something that's possible. So how long until we know if there are no cost overrun? Hopefully, cost overruns that are significant enough to where there is money left over. How many years would that take till we get to that?
Can I address that? Yeah. Golden State, we were supposed to be under construction last year. We got tangled up with the railroad. They want to see improvements through all the intersections of the corridor. So we are currently negotiating with the railroad on that.
Right.
We've got the project half built already. We're getting ready to execute a contract with the county to build the second half of it that will leave only the intersections that are affected by the railroad, which we continue negotiation. We're making progress on that.
I'm not criticizing. I understand.
I'm trying to give you a timeline.
Okay.
Because
Roughly,
there's no definite dates, okay?
give me a conservative number. How far out could it be? Will it be a couple of years out potentially?
Hopefully, we can get under construction next year on this.
Okay. The reason why I ask is hopefully by this time next year, we'll have a lot of progress and decide what the next Measure C is gonna look like.
Yeah.
My point is, if Mayor Martinez wants to make a motion, I'll gladly second it with the provision that any extra funds, if there are any, will be left to the Westside communities. I think in good faith, we should do that.
Yeah.
And then maybe the new Measure C incorporates some of those projects in San Joaquin, in Mendota,
Right.
that really help save lives.
Higher up on the list.
But we're going back again on the funding those 3 projects that are gonna potentially go over budget right now. And after that, then we get whatever is left over. And I think that's a little,
Okay.
you know, especially when, you see what I mean? When these monies were designated over there, and we have approved all the projects for the east side and all of Fresno, and we haven't said that, why don't you do those 3 projects that are overrunning before you approve these?
We're doing the projects, but it takes a while to do them.
Yeah, no, I say, but we have approved those projects, no, but it never came up into the agenda. Okay, maybe we shouldn't do this, or if there's any monies left over, then we should do it for this project here in Fresno. And by all means, you know, I'm just trying to say what's equitable and what needs to be fixed, because like I said, I hope I don't come back next year and show each of you guys, look, this kid died, he got overrun right now in the fall, rainy weather.
Just keep in mind that it wouldn't have been done that quick either, even if you would have designated the funds. So,
Or the
but
following
we're-
year,
we're-
or at some point, whenever that happens,
but
you know.
The plan, like Karbassi saying, I think is good to designate those funds and also look at the future for Measure C and how we can also make sure that it covers the projects over there in the west side.
All the can I have just a second for this?
Yeah.
Mayor Martinez, I get it, 100% what you're saying, you don't wanna be left out, and the west side shouldn't be left out. My only thing is, 2 points that I wanna make about this. One, staff does this, and I don't think that there's any malice with staff. When these projects go overrun, I don't think there's any hiding the ball. You guys are very transparent with us about exactly what's happening. This kind of undertone that I've heard about siphoning money from affluence, I think is unfair towards you guys. I think you guys are doing a good job, and I think you guys are doing complete transparency with everything you're doing, and I appreciate that. My other statement to that is, extra money should go to the west side, but we need to finish what we started here.
Right.
It's not fair to these projects that were approved by this committee, maybe not you in that seat or me in this seat, but those were approved projects, and we're trying to finish them. And that's only right. I don't wanna see Fresno County have 15 different unfinished projects. The projects need to get finished, and then when it comes back to us for new projects, we need to be all in and committed to, when we go to the west side, to doing it right. Because you wouldn't like it if we went to the west side and did 50% of your project and then stopped because the east side wanted it. We gotta finish what we committed to. And then when we're done, everything extra, west side, 100%. And I'll be the first one to vote on that. But we gotta finish what we started here.
Yes.
We should know the background. So the only reason those monies exist is because those monies were approved in 2006, and actually I was on the Citizens Oversight Committee during that time, or 2005, to expand and extend 180 to connect to I-5. But the fact is that the amount of money there that was approved is insufficient to accomplish that. So what the negotiation was, or the project was, all right, well then, so now that it can't do that because it's way less, you know, then spread it down to save lives, to improve mobility, access, and so forth. And so that's what Victor is really, all of us are really working to ensure that that investment that was intended 100% for the west side stay on the west side and cover a lot of the projects that have been needed for way too long.
And I think, like I mentioned, I don't think any of us against.
I just think that people need to know the history of where those funds were coming, so that they don't think that it's like just, you know.
I think we're gonna have something.
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, I've been here a couple of years, but still learning the processes. So the money that we're discussing had already been allocated to a specific project. That project is unattainable now due to inflation
On the west side.
on the west side. And so there's these other projects that you're discussing that also had some plan, right? Some money is allocated to complete these projects. And so if this money had never come to the table today, then there should have been already a plan for those projects to be completed. So why can't those projects continue on the same pathway that they were on as if this money didn't exist, if they already had a plan?
Good question. Yeah, well.
That's the way the program works. When we make a commitment to a project,
Yeah.
we see that project through, and if the cost overruns, then we fold it in the plan, and the next project on the list goes back. And if 269 was still being built, we would hold 269 harmless because it's been voted on, it's been approved, it's funded. We're not gonna come back and say, nope, we're gonna transfer that to another project. We have to maintain the integrity of the program.
Right.
And thank you for the
Go
comment.
ahead,
Mayor
2006. Go
Kingsburg.
ahead. I think he was.
If I may address that question real quick, thank you, Councilmember Valdez. The 180 project, the original project that we're talking about, that is not being funded, that was not because of cost overruns. That it's not because of inflation that project's not being funded, it's because the project itself, the revenues have never been enough to meet the original project cost. So the project, as far back as, what,
2007, we had a $220 million deficit in the rural program because we had that project on the very last list. So
Right.
it's never been a realistic, fundable aspiration.
Yeah, the project was on the list, but the revenues could never match the expenditure list.
And that's why the money is up on the table
For that particular, yeah,
for this particular one.
right.
And so I guess.
In other areas, there have been inflation, you're right? We're not, that is true. There have been the projects, the three that are under, design and right-of-way acquisition at this time, they are experiencing, as we've said, the cost overruns. But the issue with the 180 project was not inflation, because we've never gotten that far. It's the fact that the revenues have never been able to match the original estimates.
So if it wouldn't have been on discussion for tonight's, meeting, then because these other projects are already are going on, you would have pulled from that pot anyway? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Essentially because of the commitment to the projects that are underway.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification.
Is there, and
Yeah, so
just,
this,
I think, I keep bypassing him, I'm sorry, just
Yeah.
one word.
okay, please. So I think what's important to note is I do understand the program and I do understand how it works. That's not what I have in question. I have in question what's right to do. We're trying to pass Measure C again. How are we gonna go back to our constituents and say, there was $100 million allocated to the west side, oh, wait a minute, we got 46 million and the rest went somewhere else to other projects that need to be finished. So if we knew that this project was never gonna get this $200 million project, why weren't we talking about this in 2008? And saying, hey, west side, let's figure out some projects, because this is never gonna get funded. It seems as if we are constantly, we're constantly always waiting and waiting and waiting, but when we have to do what's right, and I think everybody agrees, I would back your project 100%, I would back everybody's project here 100%. But the fact of the matter is that we have to go before our constituents and say, we have money allocated to our area, and we wanna be good stewards to the other cities. But at the end of the day, we know that we have projects that are very, very much public safety issues. And that's all on the rural areas, and I get it, the revenues are not there, I get it 100%. But we should have been having this conversation so we could have come up with $100 million of safety projects to fill up all this money. But now, we're shortcoming our projects, which they are important projects, nobody's saying that. Many people crash and have died. I have about 15 crosses going from Firebaugh to Mendota. So again, you know, we understand the value of life, but what I'm saying is, we're sitting here talking about finishing through projects, which is the right thing to do, but at what expense? What's the right thing to do? The right thing to do is to finish the projects that we have listed here, earmark the money for the west side, and come up with some projects that are valuable. Continue to help these individuals figure out other funding streams to get their projects done as well, because without this $100 million, guess what, guys? That would, if we would have talked about it, would have filled them up with projects, they wouldn't have it anyway. The point is that we have to find a way to do both.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary?